Okay, we're rolling. Okay, so let me just get this. Okay, and hello. We're about to go live on Voice America Empowerment Channel, also the radio show. So, if you're joining me, I actually figured out how to get the chat open so you can chat or ask me a question if you want to. This is going to be a very personal, very deep, and kind of dark, but very healing session, show, whatever you want to call it tonight. So I hope you stay tuned because we're going to delve deep into women, the divine feminine, and what has happened to it, how it was hijacked. Okay, good. So anyway, welcome. If you're joining me now, we're going to get started in just a few minutes, kind of waiting for people to, actually we're waiting for 6. We got another minute and we're going to be starting the Voice America Empowerment Channel broadcast.
All right, 30 seconds and we will get started.
Okay, great. And if you have, I do have the chat open, or you can call in if you have any questions, comments, or anything you want to share.
All right, send in the feed your way. Have a good show.
Okay, thanks.
And ideas held by the Voice America Talk Radio Network, its staff and management. Welcome to the Infinite Human Talk Show with Elizabeth Monroy. Over the next hour, you'll learn how you can become part of the new consciousness renaissance by evolving yourself physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, financially, and socially to embrace your true divine infinite nature and become an infinite human and co-creator of the new infinite earth. Now, here is your host, Elizabeth Monroy.
And welcome. Hello, my divine, infinite human beings. You're all that is, ever has been, and ever shall be. And tonight we're going to have a very intimate, very deep, and yes, a little dark talk with you. It's going to be, if you're in a position where you can relax, just sit back and listen to it. If not, perhaps you might want to just pause this and come back to it in another time, because it is going to be very healing, but you can't heal in lies. And first of all, we are all hierogamically masculine and feminine, but this talk show is going to go down deep and dirty and dark into what has happened to the divine feminine and to the women on this planet through this dark eon, because I think many of us have just not really looked at that, and because we've been so traumatized. And of course, that's the basis of MK Ultra, trauma-based mind control, so that you don't look at it. And when you do take it out of the darkness, out of the shadows, and look at it, then you can clear it. And that's what we're going to be doing now, and especially during February, because that's a big time for this. But I want to touch on it on this show, because a lot of things are coming up, especially as we talk about the Krystala, getting on the Krystala spiral. We need to finish anything that's holding us back to the past. So if you're with me, please just take a moment to kind of ground and center yourself by breathing in the 2 most important, powerful words ever uttered in the English language. Breathing in, I am. And exhaling peace, 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 peace. And just go down deeper and deeper and deeper, breathing in I am. And exhale infinite love, love, love. I am. Infinite truth, truth, truth. And breathing in again, I am. Infinite source, source, source. And just begin to journey inside of yourself, inwardly ascending into your heart of hearts, your heart of Afima, into the very center of your being, and feel that divine spark of infinite God source ignite, that spark of truth, that spark of love that has never, ever left you, that spark of infinite source, knowing that you are always creating with infinite source your reality, your holographic template by flashing in and out, into source, out, into source and out. And just feel that divine spark of infinite source that is always with you, inside of you now. And just relax as you listen to my words. But again, I want to say just only take what resonates. I am speaking the words, casting the spells, not to embroil you, not to enslave you, but to awaken you to your own inner divine truth within, because truth is a frequency. And as you return to that frequency, to that ascension of higher frequencies, then you know the truth. The truth cannot really be told. It's just known because you have that ability to know the truth. And I know right now, I just want to say, it's very confusing me because there's so much coming out as you're awakening. There's so much information, and there's a reason for that. They've done that on purpose because they want to shove everything in your face, like the aliens, and of course there are extraterrestrials. We are all from other dimensions and planets and what have you, but there's really trying to sidetrack you with that. And every time they're putting something out there that gets you to look outside of yourself, just take a moment, step back into that divine infinite source within your heart of hearts, that source which you flash into and flash out to create the external reality, because the true reality is within. And that's where you will know the truth. And I hope that what I'm doing, my book that I've written, The Infinite Human, this talk show, is all just to remind you that you have the truth within you and not to get distracted and lost in all the craziness that's going on. So with that said, I want to kind of recap, because if you're just joining me now, there's been a progression of this. And basically it's been about helping you to realize that things are not as they seem. And we've been asleep in a dream spell. And we've been on a descending, we've actually had two. We've had our divine holographic template hacked into by a AI artificial reality. And we've called it the Fibonacci spiral of the false artificial timelines that have kept us in a timeline loop, recreating the same story over and over again, being the victim, and on and on and on, being fed off of by parasites. And now we have had the timeline split, and we are now really the focus of my words, of my soul mission, of my talk show, of my books. Everything is to help you to get on and stay on that Krystala spiral, which brings me to women, because and last week we had Sasha Stone on here, and we began to talk about the new earth, but that it was interesting because we really didn't get into it. And now, after really reflecting on it over this week, I realized why. Because we really can't have a new earth community until we take care of the work that needs to be done here in Malta And I'm going to get into that at the end. And I'm going to get into the sacred pilgrimage and the goddesses returning, which is the theme of this, and the divine feminine taking back the energetic template of our planet, which is going to get the whole planet onto the Krystala spiral. All right. And we also talked about different areas on the planet that are higher in frequency and lower in frequency. That's going on too. But before we get into that, I really want to talk about the divine feminine and women and what's been going on with that. So, it's interesting because I want to just kind of wrap up with Sasha, because he was a wonderful guest, and it was really nice to have him. And I wanted to have him because also, you know, I don't think it's any coincidence that he looks very much like, you know, and I'm going to be perfectly honest here, a sexy kind of Christ-like figure with his long hair and his bare chest, you know. And it's something that I think we as women have to really look at, because and for me, when I grew up, I wrote about in the book The Infinite Human, how my teen idol, of course, being a daughter of a minister and being very spiritual, was, you know, not Donny Osmond or, you know, the whatever, the Monkeys, they were great, but it was Ted Neely from Jesus Christ Superstar. You know, I was like in love with Jesus, you know, Christ, and I really identified with, I don't know how to love him. And, you know, as women, we've always seen the male as the Christ-like figures, and the female, and we especially we look at like Mary Magdalene, you know, what she was cast in the Bible as, you know, a whore that, you know, she was rescued by Jesus, you know, and she, you know, of course, in the movie, in the Bible and everything, he was always, you know, she was, you know, anointing his feet, you know, at his feet and everything. And I think that's really important, because it is so wrong. I mean, so far removed from the truth. Okay. So far removed from the truth. And then we also look at the Catholic, of course, I talk about Catholic a lot because I live in Catholic land, but because it was the first, you know, Christian religion that all the others are just franchises of. But it was, when it was packaged to, of course, put all the power on the mother, the Virgin Mother. Okay. And that was where the divine feminine was banished to, really, you know, the suffering Mother Mary, you know, who's holding her dead son, you know. And by the way, I will be broadcasting on Christmas, so for all you black sheeps, I'll be there for you. I know it's a difficult time, but we're going to talk about the true Christmas story, which will be very interesting. And we're going to be talking about why you're a black sheep, because it's actually a very beautiful thing. It's a very powerful thing. So, you know, make sure you tune in to me for that. But I just want to talk to you about the truth about, okay, first of all, the Holy Trinity. You know, how did they get Father, Son, Holy Ghost? They just completely, you know, cut out the woman, the divine feminine, you know, and the true Holy Trinity, the trifold wave, comes from, of course, the creation of infinite source. And I always bring you back to infinite source, where everything comes from, the flashes into it. And then it flashed out, not into a vesicus Pisces of duality, you know, but it flashed out not into one, but into two. And the two was the matter and antimatter, the divine feminine and the divine masculine, the electrical and the magnetic. And that is the true trifold wave, the infinite source, and then the electrical magnetic masculine feminine, you know, particle antiparticle. And then from divine feminine, divine masculine, the true Trinity comes forth when they created, the Mother, the Father, God created the Christ and the Christos. Okay. And the Christos was not just male, it was Christos and his genetic partner. Okay. And if we're talking about Yeshua 12, who was the true Christos, we're talking about Mary Sophia Magdalene. So we have the Christos Sophia. So we forgot all about, that was left out of the Bible, the whole fact that there was a solar Christ. And It's very important because we've reached the time now where the women are moving beyond. This is why I'm broadcasting this now. And I want you women to hear this, especially because we were cut out of that Holy Trinity and we were banished into the lunar calendar, which is we're now having a chance to, which is part of the Fibonacci spiral. And we're now having a chance to move on to the solar female Christ and the solar calendar. We were also, what is the moon goddess? Okay, the whole moon goddess is a reflection of the male. It was never meant to be that way. We are not reflections of the male. And we're going to talk about Malta and the return of the goddesses because we were the keys for maintaining the energetic frequency of our Mother Earth. All right, so the divine feminine is so important, which is why it has been cut out, banished, and removed from its true place into the shadows of being a reflection of the male. And that's why Mary Sophia Magdalene, the female Christ, was completely hijacked. She was actually separated from her true twin soul, married off to the wrong Christ, which we'll get into on Christmas, and used her whole basis of gnosis. Her whole divine technology was completely cannibalized and actually vandalized, I'd say, to use by the fallen angelics to promote immortality, not eternity, and to create this whole parasitic, louche feast, satanic ritual that perpetuates their life. And that's another story. We'll get into that another time. But this is why the divine feminine is so powerful, and they have usurped it for their own uses in an inverted, anti-life, anti-Christic way. And that's why, you don't hear about women in his story, okay, in this past 25,000 years of completely fallen history. It has been eradicated. And I am here in Malta, and we're going to talk about it, where there are still goddess temples. They haven't been able to to do away with that, and they're finding these statues, and we'll talk more about the hypergeum, which is very much the key to the software program of our entire planet. All right, so I'm going to get into that at the end, but okay, got some notes here. Cannot too great. Okay, so let me just go a little bit further with this and talk about. Okay, let me just define goddess for you, because this is my definition of goddess. All right. And, I don't know if everyone's going to agree with this, but to me, as I am looking at these timeline splitting, and I am sensing many different people's works, and the information is coming that we are breaking down the whole lunar calendar identification of the female. And to me, a goddess is someone who has that hierogamic union within them. And throughout history, though, and there's a lot of fear associated with this, and I understand, we're going to talk to it. I did a lot of work on my solar plexus today because it's huge. Because every time that women, and I'm going to look at, for example, Joan of Arc or Saint Catherine, these were women who had a very strong foundation of that inner divine feminine and divine masculine, which is the basis for true ascension, which we all have to have. But every time they did that and stepped out on the planet in these dark eons, they were martyred. Okay, so it's very, very frightening. And the Inquisition, the Spanish Inquisition, killed millions upon millions, especially of females, just for speaking out. For me, just to have this talk show, I had to do so much work on my throat chakra and my whole, my whole pineal throat crown chakra complex, because, how many times in past lives have we been stoned? Have we been burnt alive at the stake? Have we been beheaded? I had so many beheadings, as women, just by trying to embody this, being both the feminine, which is very powerful, when you balance that with the divine masculine, and actually become an influence in the planet. So, women have not been able to do that. And I'm going to talk a little bit about the women. Then I'm going to talk about probably the most devastating thing to us women, probably the deepest pain that we've ever had, and that's the twin soul wounds, okay? Because that's being corrected now. We're having a chance to correct that. It's so important for you to really begin to step out of that and think in new categories. But, let's be honest about what it's been like to be female on this planet, especially let's look at the ancestral miasma that we have all inherited, the mother wound. We worked with that in Sicily when we went to the island of Mosia, and we worked with the shifting that in alchemizing the whole child sacrifice energy that was there in Sicily. But here, we have, okay, we have the goddess energy, which is returning. But before we can totally embody ourselves, our goddess energy in this hierogamic union of divine feminine, divine masculine, we have to look at what has happened to women. And women, and I write about this in The Infinite Human a whole lot, that we have not had any rights at all. We haven't been able to own property. We were property. We didn't have rights over our own children. And we were only valued for our ability to breed and our sexual objects. Now, this all happened because of the initial twin soul wound. Okay, so I'm going to get back to this, and on my second edition of The Infinite Human, I talk about this in great detail because it's really, really devastating. And I know what I'm saying is true because many years ago, I worked what's called the lines, and I did psychic readings just for a while until I figured out what it was all about, just getting people to stay online and talk. But it was all women who were looking for their soulmates, okay? And this is a devastating wound. And what happened, okay, I'm going to get into that, and then I'm going to talk more about women, what's happened to them. But the truth is, we all have twin souls. We were all at one time, as Plato writes, and I refer to this in my chapter on twin souls, we were all one. And our masculine side and our feminine side were embodied in the same body. Okay, we all come from that initial spark of divine masculine and divine feminine. We were electromagnetic. When we descended into the lower frequencies, we chose to separate ourselves into two separate bodies for our soul mission, and also just to experience it. We wanted to experience what it would be like to make love to ourselves, to see our masculine side, our feminine side outside of ourselves. And we fell in love with that. We love that. It's wonderful. But it's also been duality, and it's been up and down, it's been that joy, that pain, and there's a reason for that. Because twin soul unions in the physical are the most powerful. They hold double frequency. In fact, they hold triple frequency. When they become, the two becomes the three, becoming the one. And the frequency is so high, they are always, always, always hijacked. And I do not know a twin soul couple that has been allowed to do their job properly and stay on this planet in this time frame. And if you've listened to mine, my Adami, my soulmate, had to leave, but we're still worked together. But he could no longer be in the physical because of the frequency that we held together. It was too high. So, with that said, everyone has a twin soul. So when you're lamenting, where's my twin soul? I don't think I have a twin soul. You have a twin soul. But because of the power, the timelines have been scrambled. So it's been very, very difficult for you to incarnate together. And if you did find each other, the wounds are so deep. And the first wound came from what I call the Tothian curse, which happened about 25,000 BC when Thoth betrayed us. Okay. And for those that don't know, Thoth, is not a god from Egypt. And he's also known as Enki, and he's also known as Lucifer, a fallen angel. And he was working with the guardians, working on, let's say, with the good guys, and he betrayed us. And when he betrayed us, he tricked the twin souls. He tricked mostly the females because the Anunnaki, the fallen angelics, need the Christic genomes to maintain their races, because they're cut off from source. They tend to degrade. They tend to well, you can see it in the royals. They need Christic inbreedings. In fact, Diana, who married Charles, was from the Christic race to keep it going, because they begin to just become so inbred that you have like all these kind of miasmas and diseases and disorders in them. And we can see that in the royal families throughout history, King George, et cetera, et cetera. They become totally, which they are, psychopathic. So they can't even recover. So they have to constantly, and that hence the women have been mind controlled to see their value as breeders, and this whole idea of the patriarch of coming into, to ensuring the line, the prodigy, and making sure that the woman is faithful. Well, the man, of course, who cares if he's faithful, but the female must be faithful, because they want to make sure it's their seed, their demonic, satanic spawn, really the Rosemary baby kind of thing that is the Anunnaki that is procreating throughout the lineage. And we saw that in Braveheart, the movie, and everything, when the Christic female, who was a French, of the French Magi Grail line, said, your line ends now. Anyway, so I don't want to get off with that, but you can do your own research on that. But so that's what we have become, just breeders. And I bring this up because I noticed something today when someone said, and we're going to take a break in just a minute, that women, are so powerful because they're a portal between, dimensions, because they can bring a human being into creation. Well, of course, that's amazing. But we're so much more than just that. That's what we've been mind controlled to think, because we've been misused and abused by the fallen angelics, by the parasites, by the Anunnaki hybrids, to the Nelefin, to breed. But we can manifest creations of multiverses, and we are the ones who are creating the new earth. And I said that to Sasha Stone last week. I said it's the women who are going to do it, so it's the divine feminine, which is so important for us to begin to get to heal ourselves, to clear this trauma, and to regain this inner divine hierogamic union within us, first of all. And then we can bring it into the physical too. But we are going to be birthing this whole new earth, and it's going to happen here because we've got the keys. The keys are coming, the right keys. Some women are genetically coded with keys that can access the Templar, hence the Luciferian Knight Templar who took it, and misused our templates, to access the true energetic template of our planet, so we can get it all back onto the Krystala spiral. All right. So if you have any questions or comments, I'm going to take a really short break here for a few minutes. Just reflect on that. When we get back, we're going to talk more about how you can do the clearing, how you really have to come clean with, what has happened to you. And as you do, you're going to start remembering your other lifetimes, or really identities, and they'll come up. At first, they might be traumatic, because face it, we've all had really horrible things happen to us, especially the women. But then that's going to bring you back to your power. And it's so important, because you can't heal in lies. So you have to remember that and heal it. And that will bring you back into your wholeness, or your holiness. All right. So, that said, all right, I think we'll go ahead and take the break if that's okay.
For more empowering words from Elizabeth Monroy and Dr. Peter Monroy, check out their latest book, The Infinite Human, an ascension guide for starseeds, twin souls, and awakening infinite humans, the co-creators of the new infinite 5D Earth. You'll also find many spiritual books to help both children and adults in their ascension back to home, to infinite God Source. Isn't it time to be part of the new consciousness renaissance? If this resonates with you, please subscribe to our website at infinitehuman.com and become part of our growing Infinite Human family.
It's your world. Motivate, change, succeed. VoiceAmericaEmpowerment.com.
Welcome back to the Infinite Human Talk Show with your host, Elizabeth Monroy. Do you have a question or comment for Elizabeth or her guests? Please call us at 888-346-9141. That's 888-346-9141. You can also text or email your questions and comments to infinitehumanproductions@gmail.com. Now, back to the show.
Hello, and welcome back to the Infinite Human Talk Show. I'm your host, Elizabeth Monroy, and we're talking about, the twin soul wound and the woman wound. And I'm not going to get into great detail about the Tobian curse. I'm going to talk about that more in February. And also we're having David Icke come on the first week in February. And after that, we'll be having the pilgrimage, the Return of the Goddess retreat in Malta. So we'll be talking about that in a little bit more detail. But basically what happened was when the original twin souls, when we came here with full awareness with our twins, we were talked into betraying. We didn't really betray our twin souls. We thought we were saving them, but we were told that if we went with the Anunnaki for forced breeding programs in Nibiru, we would be saving their lives, which was not true. They were hunted down and emasculated, castrated and killed. And when we found that out, we were extremely upset. And what went on throughout the eons, this was just a reoccurring theme that happened in every culture. It happened in all the Christic communities. They were hunted down by the invader cultures such as the Vikings, the Normans, the Spanish Inquisition did it to the Americans, the Native Americans in the North and South, Yucatan and Americas. They would come in and they would kill the men and they would rape the women to procreate their race. And it's been very traumatizing for us because it's caused many of us to just hate men, and worse than anything else, we hate our masculine side. And, understandably, because we've not been ruled by the divine masculine, we've been ruled in a world run by the dark masculine. Okay. So if you look at our planet, you have to be honest and say it's run by men, dark masculine men, the governments, the war machines, the military. It's just horrendous. And they've done such a number. And, women and children have been put, have been victimized so much. And it's been extremely difficult because we are both masculine and feminine. So we've got to heal from that, because we can't go on hating the masculine because we're hating ourselves. We are masculine. We are truly divine masculine, but we have that inside of us. And many women have been so afraid of their masculine side, not just because what happens when they use it, because anytime you used it in the past, you were, drowned, stoned, burnt, raped, you became a target. It was not allowed on planet Earth to speak out, to speak with your true voice, to stand up for yourself, for your children. It was not allowed. You had the shit beat out of you. You were raped. You were murdered. You were humiliated. You were tortured. It's been rough, and we have to come to grips with that. If we come to grips with all the other dark stuff on the planet, that perhaps is the darkest part. And if we can't look at that and feel that and let that fear release, we have to release it from our solar plexus. We have to release it and the pain from our pain body, because it has been extremely, extremely painful. And I'm feeling it right now as I'm speaking. And many of you may be hearing this, and it may, trigger some memories. So, just take your time to allow this to surface, and I'll be working with this in more, because it's very, very, it's very difficult. We've all been laden with this. We've also been laden with all these lunar harnesses and implants that have cost us all kinds of, and I speak, if you know me, I am a hierogamic union, and my twin soul now is inside of me, part of me. And that was what my whole book, The Infinite Human, was about. And Peter was a gynecologist. So you'll hear him talking sometimes, and he'll say he was a good gynecologist, very rare man that you would never find, hardly ever, which is why I'm not with anyone else. But he actually would spend hours sitting there listening to women. I mean, he had a very lucrative practice in New England, and treated the Kennedys. And then when he moved down, we did the whole I did the dream house thing, and he had his lucrative practice for a while. And we just got tired of it. We met our spiritual teachers, and we left our dream home, climbed into a little camper with our 3 dogs, and we ended up doing locum tenens and working where people needed us. Indian reservations was the first place we went. We went to immigrant communities where the poor Mexicans were. We went to the poor Black communities. We went to places in America where the women didn't have health care, and where he was an obstetrician, and he would sit there and listen to them. And believe me, women have problems. I think he knew more than I did, because a lot of times we women put on our makeup and our pretty faces, and we act like everything's fine, and we're just so great in our, we can do it all. And when women's liberation came, at first it seemed great, because women were starting to make money and, be able to get out of really destructive, perhaps even abusive relationships. But then what happened, and I was younger, I saw it happen during the 60s, and I grew up and I saw my mother go through it, is, the women got professional, they got, their jobs and stuff like that. But unfortunately, so many women then became the providers, and they ended up getting divorced, and they became single moms. So they ended up, trying to earn a living and take care of, cook the meals and take care of their children. And of course, things began to suffer. So we're seeing a time, and I see it especially in Italy, where women have had all the responsibility, but none of the authority. So they've had this power, this intuitive power, and they've been doing the best. They've really been the thread that has kept the families together. I've seen it, with mothers and grandmothers. They've kept the family together, but many times as martyrs, as sacrificing themselves with the whole Madonna kind of, that's the only spiritual ideology or role model that so many women, especially now we have to look at, maybe in America, when I grew up, there was kind of feminism, but most of the planet, the third world countries, women are just, either the Muslim women are covered, because they can't, show their hair or anything. And the Catholic women, they just, pray to the Madonna to help them, and she's got her own problems, she couldn't even save her own son. So, it's not powerful women. We haven't had powerful goddess role models, warrior women that are the amalgamation, the hierogamic union of divine feminine, divine masculine who actually do something, who had the authority to do something. We have not had that. So it's been this silent suffering for so many women. We've known what needs to be done, but we haven't been able to really step in and change things. Historically, the only power women have was through their husbands, like Lady Macbeth manipulating the men around them, or through their sons, and that's the whole momismo thing that you see so prevalent in the Italian, but it exists in all cultures. So women have and they've suffered greatly because they've had the awareness to see the problems, but they haven't really been able to reach in and change the governmental structures, reach in and be the head of the family to make, actual decisions about where they live, about how the money's being spent. Women have not been able to do that. And that is changing now. We are now taking back our planet. So we're able to have both the intuitive and that really your powers and your softness. Okay. So we can maintain that divine softness, but yet when we need to step in and make a change, we have that too. And we can play that card because both of that balance, that divine balance needs to be played. So that is the return of the goddesses. That is the return of being able to be both divine feminine and divine masculine within ourselves. And that is where we are healing that twin soul wound. And we all have twin souls. They may be in the physical, but they may not be. So we don't want to get caught up in that it has to be, look the way we think it is, because we may be getting those codes and those activations for them in the non-physical now. A lot of things are shifting and opening up, but first we have to look inward. That's how things are going to shift. So big changes are happening. Big shifts are happening, and probably that is the biggest shift that's going to take you to the Krystala spiral to actually heal all those hurts and pains that come from the ancestral that we've inherited from our mothers. It's the mother wound that comes into our life now until we heal it. And I know, especially right now, we're talking holidays, and we're talking. I hear you. I've talked to you. I get your emails, and I know that the holiday season is family time, and it's the females that have to make everything come out all right. They feel that responsibility, and I know a lot of people too now with the timeline split and with what's gone on in the medical. The past 2 years, we're having a lot of medical crisis, a lot of health problems. So the women are feeling it so much. They're feeling responsible. They're feeling like they have to they have to heal everyone in their family. Of course, you just have to. That's what women do, and women are, of course, that's okay. And they have to make everything come out all right. And I have been working with women for a long time. I am the daughter of marriage and family therapists in a very dysfunctional family, because believe me, all families are dysfunctional. But I did learn a lot of good theory from being the daughter of two marriage and family therapists, my mother and my father. And rescuers end up victims. So no matter how much we have tried to save and heal and rescue other people, we always end up back where we started from, with that victim program, with that martyr program. And it never ends up helping anybody. It doesn't help anybody, because you really can't save anyone else. You can't help them. And oxygen mask on yourself first. Then as you navigate onto this Krystala spiral, you will be able to help people in a much, much more effective, authoritative way than you have in the past. Because, you look at the Madonna, and all I can think of is Michelangelo's La Pieta, when Mother Mary's holding her dead, Christ crucified son, which is not the true Christ, guys. We'll talk about that on Christmas, but it's just this helplessness, this hopelessness, this I couldn't save my own son, and that's what we've been repeating over and over again, and we can now get out of it. All right, that's the new Krystala timeline, spine line, yeah, to get on to it and to be there for people in a whole nother powerful place. All right, not taking on their karma, not taking on their story, because they have to learn it. They have free will. They have to learn to also learn their own lessons. But we can still be there as very wise women, as the wise women that we are. So that is shifting, and you are shifting it. You are rewriting his story into her story as at moment to moment. As you hear my words, as you go about your daily life, you are changing his story. All right. So, with that said, as I know the holidays are very, very stressful, and it's time to really kind of come about family in a whole different way, because and one of the things that is true in family therapy I learned is that even the black sheep or even the problem child is just a symptom of the whole family. So when there's a problem, it's the whole family, and if one family member shifts, the whole dynamics of the family shifts. So those of you that are participating in your family, especially as the mothers, the daughters, the sisters, the wives, once you shift your energy template, your energetic vibration and frequency, you will shift the whole planet. Now, there may be some, that don't like that, and they may be very vocal about it, as many of us have experienced in the past. But I think that time's kind of passing, because I think people, even the ones that are clinging out of fear to the old timelines, because they want that comfort, they're afraid of change, but they know that they're on a sinking ship, so many of them, and they want something new, and they're not sure how to get it. And you don't even have to say anything, but just by standing in your power and standing in that divine feminine, divine masculine position of authority, and stepping out of being the victim or the martyr, you will shift the energetic template of your entire family and all those who are around you. So this is the time to do it. Those old timelines are shifting, and people are looking for it. They're looking for it. So let's just take a minute to just tune inward, okay? And look at this. There might be something that's just popping up out of you right now, some kind of person maybe that's and maybe they haven't said it to you, but maybe their higher self, their avatar self, is saying it to you. It may even be twin soul. Now, you also have, many of us have been messed up with the twin soul journey because, and they call it alien love bites, but we've been actually seduced into false twins. So you may be with a false twin right now, which is something you have to come to grips with, because if you are, you need to end that, or it may be already ending, to clear space for you to find the right hierogamic union, the right genetic counterpart, because there are codes that need to be exchanged that will help you in your ascension. But just take a moment to look at anything that's popping up to you. Just take a nice deep breath, breathing in I am, and exhaling infinite. And just take a moment to become aware of something, some relationship, some situation, some pattern that is gnawing at your consciousness, that needs to be alchemized, that needs to be upgraded, that needs to be transmuted into into the Krystala spiral. And you might not understand it all right now, but just ask divine infinite source within yourself to show you the way to correct that, to heal that, to release that, and to let it go if it's holding you back, so you can move more completely and wholly onto the ascending timelines. All right, so just to let that sit with you. And I'm going to take just the last few minutes that we have to talk to you about Malta. Amazing place. I had no idea I was coming here. I thought I didn't even think I was coming, but I ended up coming. I thought, okay, I'll come for, Christmas. And I ended up I was staying, ironically, in a hotel called Luna, which means moon. And I didn't want to stay there, but it was the only place available. So I was in Luna Resort. Felt totally wrong. So, of course, I ended up saying, I'm going to see if I can rent something. I'm here for 4 months. And I walked into this, of course, this is if you're listening to me, you can't see it, but if you're seeing me live stream behind this is just part of it. It's a palace, 3 stories. It's incredible. And these are huge limestone stones that hold frequency. And, I just knew I was supposed to rent it. I had no idea how I'm going to swing it financially, but I just knew I was supposed to be the conduit for this place. And it's going to be a place where people come for amazing things, for inner healing, inner empowerment, and shifting the energy on this planet. So here I am, having a Christmas party with people that just are coming out of nowhere that I'm meeting. And I met one of the most amazing souls, and I was so excited to meet her. She's going to come on. She lives here. She's Maltese, and she was called back. And it's funny, we've been the same places. We were in the Yucatan, we were all over. And she, of course, I don't know if you know me, but I've talked about how I've been running the Krystala spiral all over the planet. I was doing it on my book signing tour last year. I did it in Kentucky, anchoring in the Pegasus, energy there. And then I was in Yucatan, and in fact, I did it at Sasha Stone's home, and worked with the Pegasus energy, and I heard him talk about how he had this incredible encounter with this white horse. He thought it was his totem, but it was the Pegasus energy, and I could see in his eyes that he had been transformed for it, which is one of the reasons I wanted him to come on my show, because I feel like he's really coming along. So, and that's what we women have to do. We are the leaders, and we work with the men to bring them to the Krystala spiral. And he was very interested in the Krystala spiral if you listened to that last broadcast. So that was wonderful. I knew it would resonate with him. But I went down into the hypergeum, and I did the Krystala spirals. Well, when I met with, I'll go ahead and say her name, Erica, precious soul, amazing soul. She and we were just talking. And when the frequencies were running in, we were like, we just had met up again. It was like, okay, been a couple thousand years, but here we just picked up where we left off. And she too had been running Krystala spirals all over the place, in the Yucatan and Tulum when she was there. And, of course, when you get something and you're doing it all by yourself, which I have been doing, I just got it. I didn't do it because someone told me to, except, I was told to do it. You think you're a little crazy. You're like, okay, I'm doing it. I know everyone thinks I'm crazy, and then to hear someone else. And that's why I like to talk, because, I hope that you who are hearing me are realizing you're not crazy, that if this resonates with you, then you're on a certain frequency and you have a certain soul mission, and we're a family, we're a tribe, we're coming back together. And it was like coming home when I talked to her. And she went down to the Hypergeum the other day, and I went to Tapinu, and she was running her frequencies, and I was, grounding it up in the Church of Miracles in Gozo. So this place is an amazing place, and the goddesses are being called back. We're being called back. And, if you're listening to my voice, only you know who you are. And if you also know me, you've listened to me, I'm not selling things. I'm not doing this channel to sell something. I'm wealthy. I don't need to do that. I do need to sustain things, and I don't let people parasite off me. But when I get them supposed to do something, I put it out there, and I put it out there, not, it's not spiritual consumerism. Oh, come here and you'll be activated, and blah blah blah. No, you'll know who you are. You just know who you are, and there's just a few people that are supposed to be here, but the people who know who they are going to come. They're going to show up. And you are keys. You carry very important keys encrypted in your genetic coding. And part of it is that you need to come here into Malta and, insert these keys, these tones, into this. And I talked about it last time. We're in the mother of all dragon eggs, where all the ley lines of our planet connect. And it was in the goddess times, we knew that. And we, the goddesses, were the guardians. We are the guardians. In fact, that's what I said to Erica. I said, talk to the God. We are the guardians. We are the guardians, and we would guard and maintain the high frequency of our planet in alignment with the Krystala spiral of infinite God source. And then when it was taken away from us, oh God, that hurt. Was tragic. Talk about trauma. That was very trauma. And I've been feeling a lot of pain, kind of clearing that out of my bodies, but getting over it. And so now we got it back. We're back. We've got it back, and we are running out of time, but that's what this retreat is for. It's in February. The dates have been all over the place, but it's on my website, www.infinitehuman.com. So if you feel like you're supposed to be here, you are. And definitely, email me, go to my website, send me a message. I'm getting a waiting list together, and I'll just know, I'll know, and you'll know, and we'll know that we know. So it's just something that you'll know that you know that you're supposed to be here for this event. And we're going to do it on the lunar calendar, because we're shifting from the lunar to the solar. We're in the hypergeum, and we will also be going to Tapenu, where the energy is just this incredible healing frequency, and to other important sites around here. I'll be staying in my palace and doing a lot of interesting things. I even found a Tamaska, so we have like a Mayan sweat lodge here that will be purifying ourselves. So it's going to be an inner retreat and an external retreat, and it's going to be amazing, because whenever you do something for the planet Earth, Mother Earth, you do it for yourself, and vice versa, because we're so deeply, deeply connected. So again, tune in for me Christmas Day and New Year's Day, 2 powerful days. I'll be here for you, really giving some very interesting information to start off, to heal the Christ story, the true Christmas story, and the New Year. And okay, that's it. So any more information, infinitehuman.com. All the information about the Malta pilgrimage is there in February. I think it's the 7th through the 16th, but we'll be there on Valentine's Day, because Valentine's Day we'll be doing the twin soul healing there, and the inner hierogamic union twin soul healing, and rewriting your story. So it's going to be, and redefining women. We've been defined by men, and we're going to redefine ourselves as women. All right. So that's it. I'm told I got 30 seconds left. And thank you so much for joining me. Please share this to others, because I think it will be very healing and helpful to others, especially women. All right. So ciao from now, signing off from Malta.
Thank you for tuning in to today's episode of the Infinite Human Talk Show with your host, Elizabeth Monroy. We hope today's episode has inspired you to join the new consciousness renaissance and be the change by reclaiming your true divine infinite nature within and becoming an infinite human and a co-creator of the new infinite earth. Tune in next week for another empowering episode. Until then, have an infinite week.